Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Sharon Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Sharon Walker, your host, and today I'm here with Sharon Seivert, and she is a coach, and she helps moms and mompreneurs, but she also helps children. So she has a unique offshoot of what we usually do for our own businesses. And so without further ado, Sharon, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Sharon Seivert. I'm the CEO of Core Coaching and Consulting, which is an LLC based in Europe, the US, and some in South America. So I do this work we call the superpower of balance. And I have a book of 5 books in a series based on the superpower of balance. And what we're talking about today will be leadership in organizations, how you as entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, can actually build your organization from the inside out while not killing yourself doing it or harming your kids by yelling at them all the time. So we need to find that balance, right? So that people get energized and feel good about it. So we use the same leadership program in schools for youth too. So that's just a little bit of overview about me.
I love that. Okay.
I do too. I love this work. Yes.
Well, anything to do with training the learner, right? Bringing them up into and teaching good values, core values that they can use to apply in their lives later on. And so let's kind of talk about that. What strategies do you recommend for children and business owners so that they don't burn out and that they don't get overwhelmed?
Right. Very good. Well, let's start with the mompreneurs since this is for them and the kids are at school right now. So okay, we'll start with who's present. So I work with a lot of, young moms who are launching their own businesses. They're solopreneurs or they're small entrepreneurs, small business people. And what I do is I help them design their program from the inside out. So from your core, you think of a compass. A great way to think about this is that the compass, and at the center is here's where we are right now. And then you actually go out, and the methodology is based on the compass. So it's really easy to know. It's an archetype that we have for ourselves. And so you start at the center and you decide, what's the point of this business that I'm making? Why am I doing this? Because gosh, it's going to be a lot of work. All right, so why am I doing this? And once you really have that down, the purpose is really clear, then on bad days, and there will be many, you can go back to that purpose for yourself. And this business has a reason, and I believe in it because, or this happened to me, and I want to make sure this doesn't happen to other people. So I have this business that I put together. And with that kind of oomph, you can really come through. You're unbreakable, like you say in your podcast. From the core, we have people vision. So the vision is tied to the core. We generate lots of options up here in the air element where we do, we can do this, we can do that. And then you go around down to the south, the fire element, and you decide this is where we're going to focus. This is our priority. Okay. Because you will certainly have burnout and overwhelm if you don't select those priorities. And if those priorities are not tied to the core. That's how people get burned out, because things don't make sense. And so they're just going in all different directions. Then you get the people who are your customers or people on your team to do the work. That's the interactions element. And then you move into implementation. We get it done. We get the products out. We, get the money in, And the whole compass is held together by synergy. So when you have good luck, things are going well, they're smooth, then you hit that synergy. It's like all of these are aligned, so they're working together. So again, I don't have as much burnout because I'm not doing triple the effort to get something done. So that's the strategy. It's like a little roadmap you can follow to design your business from the inside out.
And it sounds so easy. The concepts are easy, right?
Yeah, it's still a lot of work, right? But it's good to have a strategy that is an internal to outside strategy, because without that, it's going to be even more work.
No, it's true. Right.
Yeah. So it's a coherence. It's the alliance of these things, of these elements, these parts, these powers together So what we try to do is make sure that they have these powers available to them.
Okay.
That they really feel the oomph that they can get this done. They believe in themselves and they have the tools.
So now that they have the tools, they have the confidence, sometimes it's hard to implement though. And so
Yeah.
what are some of the obstacles you see people struggle with in the implementation phase?
In the implementation phase, well, certainly with home disruption, it's sort of like today I was going to do these two things and that's been shot. That's not going to happen. And so I would say one of the main things I would say for mompreneurs is to build community. Because mama said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, mama said. And so knowing that those days are happening, if you have a community, you will have people to fall back on, to boost you up, to lift you up, to give you new ideas, to make a contact with someone else who can help you. Because doing this alone, even if it's a solo business, is too hard. So I would say for implementation, to have the endurance to keep going, having, someone like you or I who coaches them when they're down because they need a power partner, or building a community of like-minded, entrepreneurs, it's godsend. It's really what will lift you up when everything else collapses. So that belonging, that community carries the implementation forward on bad days.
It's so true. In a community, actually, because I'm an introvert at times, but when you get
you are with your podcast, right? Who knew?
I know. But when you get out, I mean, people get in their heads. And so sometimes people become solopreneurs because they want to work from home. They don't want to have to talk to anybody. But the thing is, if you don't get out and you don't build that community, you're not going to grow, because people, if they don't know you, they can't flow you, as Grant Cardone.
Right. Yeah. Who exactly was going to buy those products? Who's helping you make them? And we live in a world where we are not islands, obviously, and entrepreneurs could have the best of all possible worlds if they're doing their work they're really built to do. They have a vessel for it, so that's fantastic. But they need community to be in the world.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the best thing. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They have their gifts. They're not having to count beans or whatever it was that they're doing. And so they're doing the right work, but they need to have people buying the product. So there is this flow between what you do and other people. Yeah. But the community, I have built a community, and I have to tell you, I built it for other people, and I'm the one who's been benefiting from it, this international community. So,
I think that's amazing that you have international. That's really cool. So how have you built the community? Is it through social media? I was going to name people, but social media, do you do it through Chamber of Commerce? How do you do that?
My community comes to me from other community members. I'm very blessed that way. So someone, I was at a party the other day, someone's birthday party, and we were sitting and the band was raging, and there's one of my clients is sitting right beside me because we all know each other. And he's trying to talk this woman who's sitting right beside him, who cannot hear a thing, into coming over and having me coach her. And it was sort of like, stop. Very enthusiastic clients who bring their friends to me. So, oh my God, everyone is so simpatico. Everyone is very, very simple. So my community is built word of mouth, person to person to person to person. We are moving into doing more training of coaches so that people can do this work, so the community will expand beyond these circles so far. But it's been very deep community for me because they are so loving and appreciative and enthusiastic.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about change. This world is full of change right now, and it's crazy. You see the debates, you see what's going on, and who's going to win, who knows, who cares, because we need new candidates anyway. So how do you navigate through that rapid change of uncertainty? Because there's a lot, like in real estate right now, I have more listings than I've ever had in my life, but the homes are sitting because people are just kind of holding their breath. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? So how do you navigate that? And what do you recommend people do?
Well, I would say first and foremost, stay the course, because things will change. Because what was it, Oscar Wilde things, change. In fact, so change, change is what happens. There's some sort of thing about, fashion is what changes, I guess, is something he was saying, what's the new fashion is what, change. So the model that I just mentioned to you, starting at the core from the inside, going to your vision, to mission, to interactions, to structure, to synergy, is a change process that is more likely to succeed, highly likely to succeed. So when people try to change, they try to change either through fear, facts, or force. We saw how well that's worked in the political environment, right? People are scared to death. They hunker down. They don't go anywhere. Force, that not happening, and fear, force, and facts not working. So a man by the name of Alan Deutschman did research and found, so someone comes out of the hospital and they just had their bypass, and the doctor says, no more steaks every night, or, stop with the booze, or whatever the doctor says. And that works for about 2 weeks. And then the person will go back to their habits. So it's just, we don't adapt or change very readily. What Deutschman found is that people will change if they reframe the problem. So that's the vision element. If they reframe or they rethink the problem, it's like alcoholics going to AA and they reframe that they are an alcoholic. Okay. Reframe, relate. So you relate to different people, or you relate differently to people. So you change your emotions and your interactions, and then repeat. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. What he found was, in the first place, fear, facts, and force, only 1 in 9 people would change if they were told they would die if they didn't.
Yeah.
They would die if they did not change. Okay. So the people who do the reframe, relate, and repeat, 90% of them changed successfully over time. So when you talk about change, part of it is doing this different way of changing. And in the model that I told you, those relate, reframe, and repeat are embedded in the steps. So we get really good success rates at changing from the inside out. So it's motored, it's powered by your best self, and then logically follows this progression. So in terms of change, that's the answer that I have. You want to change. And by the way, once you get to the place that you're trying to get to, then you're going to need to change again. It's going to happen again. Yeah, right. Right. It's like you discipline your child once, right? How does that work if you don't ever do it again?
Right. No, and I think it wasn't called the Change or Die study. It was,
yes.
And but there's one thing that was left out, is that didn't they have a coach? So the people that changed, they reframed, but they had a coach by them. He
did different studies on different things. He did the study of people coming out of the hospital. He did the unions and managers. He did like about 4 different, some sort of community change. He did about 4 different studies. So I don't know where they had coaches, but I agree with the question you were asking. The statement underneath the question is, people who have coaches are much more likely to succeed. Right. It's hard. You got the formula, but it's still hard. And there's still going to be things pushed back in your face, or life deals you a blow, or darn, that didn't work out, or your kid is sick. I mean, there's so many ways for you to be stopped. So having partners, either in community or with coaching, is definitely the way to go.
And I cannot stress that enough. So I just ran a marathon over the weekend, right?
But
for the guests that have been kind of following my story, I've started back in it's February I started. And long story short, wasn't able to, I almost broke both my tibias running a 10K.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I had to take 4 months off. And then 2 weeks ago, I started training, and I couldn't do it. My physical therapist said, don't train, just go run. And I'm like, you're crazy. So I'm going to train for 2 more months. Well, as I was running 4 miles, that's as much as I've run in the last 6 months. My body just started to fall apart, specifically.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's okay. But my point is, so I'm like last week on Tuesday, I bought my ticket to run a marathon, completely unprepared, completely untrained. So I start this race, and there's so many things that had I had a coach, like, this is my point. Had I had a coach that, like, they said they have this goo, the stuff that keeps you going, the energy, every 2 miles at these aid stations. Well, I started late on the race. I don't know how it happened, but I started like 11 minutes after the gun went off. There's a reason, but we won't go into that.
Another story
So,
for another
um,
time.
yeah. So by the time I got to the checkpoints, the goo was gone. So I had
Oh,
no energy. Like they had nothing. I had a little, the Dixie cups of water and one of a sports drink with electrolytes. That's it for 11 miles. I had nothing. So finally, I'm calling my husband because I had this go bag, like an emergency bag, and I'm like, bring it. And he did not meet me until between mile 19 and mile 20. So I'd had 2 packets in 20 miles. I had nothing left in the tank. I had nothing. And so when you hire a coach, like 26 miles is a very long time. And when you hire a coach, that coach would have said, Charisse, you need to have this bag that you have on your back and you need it full of this. Charisse, you need to be drinking this. You need to be running at this pace. You need to be doing this. Like I had nobody. I didn't hire anybody. And I wish it was a lifelong bucket list goal. Why in heaven's name did I not hire somebody to prepare for my nutrition before that? To tell me,
right.
okay, I'm failing, my body's falling apart.
Yeah.
And, so I made it across the finish line. I was not last, but that's pretty close.
Hey.
And but you look at it and it's like, yeah, I still finished. But the first person to cross that finish line was 2.5 hours. The cutoff was 6.5 hours. I was 6 hours and 29 minutes. So
Whoa.
4 hours difference, right? Now it's a miracle. That's a whole nother episode that I'll get into. But my point is with a coach, you can get there faster.
You can get there faster without as many injuries, as it were, in this case, without it taking the life right out of you. Yeah, you can get there. You definitely get there faster and part of the faster is no side trips.
Right.
The mistakes that you would likely make are less likely to happen because the coach has been there, done that. You don't want to go there because that's not, there be dragons, right? There's a problem over there. So the coach can do those sorts of things. And also the coach can also help you change your goals.
Yeah.
The coach can say, why don't we look at this in this other way? Or have you thought about this? What about that kind of thing? So you may even change your destination with a coach.
Yeah, it's true. And if you're determined, like, no, really, I'm going to run this no matter if I have to crawl. Okay, but now maybe we should try it this way. So
yeah, right. This whole on your hands and knees thing at the end, we have to really refine the self-care part of what you're doing here. So we have to really, really reel that back. Okay. That's very good.
Run to the end, but still.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
So let's talk about your book. What's the name of your book?
The most recent book is called The Superpower of Balanced Leadership in Unbalanced Times. Ta-da, here we are, right. And it looks at applying these steps that I talked about to your leadership so that you become an authentic leader, which is the core. You become an inspiring leader, which is the vision. You become a motivational leader, and which is the fire element, and you also become a relational leader, someone who could be like a servant leader. That's the emotions aspect. And then the last one is manager, your managerial leader. So we always have to make sure all those bills are paid and the money is coming in, the right thing. So, but all of these forms of leadership work together. If you're weak in a particular area, you want to bring someone on the team who is good in that area. Yeah, that's it. And then the last one is a systems leader, systemic leader, which is a big thing that's occurring now. A lot of leaders are moving into looking at their organizations as systems. I believe, and I like to treat organizations as living systems, as if they were alive, because it feels so much better to work in living systems as opposed to those machines or those cardboard cartons that are structured out there for us.
No, that's very true.
And then the youth part is that the same things I talked about for you as an entrepreneur are wonderful to instill in children at an early age, because think about who you are and have the children think about this fullness of who they are. They are a soul, a mind, a will, their emotions, their body, and they live in this world. And they have this context. So when you have them reframe who they are, it's easier to bring their gifts into the world. They're encouraged to bring their gifts in the world and be this thing that you were born to be. And here's how we help you. The more you know that, the more we can help you. And not become a stereotype. I'd be going into the urban schools with this and, well, what do you want to be? Da, 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 da. You know, I want to be Beyonce. I want to be the NFL player. Okay, and that's good. And who you want to be besides that, or in addition to that, da, 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 so there are poets there are engineers there are people who have these natural skills, the way their brain works. We know you come into the world with your brain really built to do certain kinds of work. So if you can get that as a child, your life is so much more easy. A lot of us come to those understandings very late in life, and then we're scrambling to try and say, well, I really, I should have been a dot, 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 fill in the blanks, and all my schooling was over here. Now what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give a mom who has, who's just starting out in life, and you've seen the gamut, and you teach these teenagers, and you see, what advice would you give her starting out? And if it could be anything as a mom.
The mom or the children?
The mom.
The mom.
Or the children.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll start with the mom.
Okay.
So the role that you're filling now is a part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the desire to build a business, the desire to be free, to bring your gifts into the world, that is a very natural impulse that you need to obey. You need to pay attention to that. And your children will be happier if you do. There's very few things on earth that make for worse parenting than not being authentic, than not being yourself, feeling resentful. I could have been a ballerina and then I had you, that does not work for the children. So know that this is all you are composing a life. The daughter of Margaret Mead, Catherine Bates, wrote a book called Composing a Life. And she talked about women's life paths and career paths are often more like a quilt that they weave together. So they have this experience and then they can bring it with that experience. So you're having that experience means now that you put it together in a different way that other people aren't. So this is a completely unique quilt that you're making. So we tend to look at men's career paths, which tend to be very straight line, climb the ladder of success, but women's paths are very often different because we are taking time out to be mothers, because we're coming back in, and because we had these gifts. So think of it as weaving a quilt as opposed to, darn, I lost all that time, not being in the corporate, cycle. The pathway to wealth for women is entrepreneurship, because we have a different way of working and we can do it. We can fit our lives, all these parts of our lives together. So we weave a quilt. It's a different way to look at your work. Okay.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it's a beautiful image. I was going, oh my God, that's what I did. I weaved a quilt, it's all patchwork, but it's very beautiful, as are those quilts. They're American folk art, right? You ever see those quilts and they just take this piece of my life and they put it together with this piece, and gee, that's kind of a unique perspective. So if I'm doing real estate, I'm doing this kind of real estate because of my experience over here. Or I am, or I'm doing this sort of thing for children, but I have a different perspective on it because of what I've learned. So there's the genius that these moms are passing on. I have a client out in San Diego who is putting together an app that's going to be just a barn buster for people to help create a women's economy. I can't say anything more than that because we're in NDA and it's going to be coming out and everything, but it's going to be great. And here's someone who has her kids at home, the dog they just got, and she's always been a very strong out there executive doing sales and everything. And now she's saying, I want to work differently going forward. And that has been our objective. And that's what she's going to help other women do. Together our work, okay, making this new thing possible.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, yeah.
Women are just amazing. That's why I have this podcast, is to bring together and to realize it's okay. You can do it, and you can be a mom, and you can be a business owner, and you can pursue your passion, and you don't have
yes.
to.
Yeah. and going back to weaving that quilt. So this part of your life may be very, very focused, and don't. I once was in a room with a young woman. I was teaching a course, and it was all executives in the Boston downtown area. And she came in with a new insight, and the whole group, she said, I have to tell you this. It was Mother's Day last Sunday, and I was at and I had to go to my children's play. And people recorded the play and recorded me. And I looked at it and I realized I was not there. I was thinking about work. And then I realized when I'm at work, I'm thinking about the kids. So I'm never really any place. And everyone in the room, you could have heard a pin drop. This was the realization that those women who are 50 years old or beyond, and she was saying, I can't believe it took me this long to realize that. And they're going, you caught it now. Be where you are when you're there. If this is the phase of life where you really need these young ones really need your full-time attention, that's what you do. It's all part of the quilt. You can think about this other stuff, you can build this other stuff, but you don't have to push yourself to do both simultaneously. You can go back and forth, depending upon your energy, depending upon the task. Know that you have time enough in your life so that you may do this and then you may do that. A lot of us are sequential career people, right? So why not the moms? This is just this is your work for now.
So true. I was having lunch with my son who just graduated. He's in college now, and
Oh, great! Congratulations! Yeah, you lived through that. Yeah, good.
He's in college right now. I know. I thought I was gonna. Yeah. If you heard of previous, just getting him to graduate was a miracle. But now he's overdoing himself, and I'm scared to death. But he wants to do it. Let him learn, right? And so anyway, we sat down at lunch, and my phone rang, and we were having a conversation. I instantly picked it up, and I then looked at him and I said, I am in a meeting right now with my son, and I'm going to have to call you back. And she's like, oh, that's precious time. I understand. And I think that it's those type of things that if people don't respect that, I don't really want to work with them anymore.
Amen, amen, amen. Absolutely. Yeah, they can sort themselves out. Yeah. Remember when COVID first was coming on and the newscasters were there, or the people were on podcasts like us, and these little kids would be coming in, and everyone said, get used to it. It's just life. This is my life. Yeah. You want to talk to me? This is my life, right? So just really respect that this is, honorable, wonderful, enriching work. It's part of your destiny. Right. And on other parts of your destiny, you can work on now or later, or whenever it suits you. Yep. You have time enough.
Yep. Love it. Well, if our listeners wanted to find you or learn more about you, how could they get a hold of you? Or where would they go?
They can go to corecoachingconsulting.com. So CORE, coachingconsulting.com. And we have all kinds of freebies, and we also have like free events every month. So get in our list, get in registered on a freebie time. This month we're going to be talking about synergy. Woohoo! So you might want to join that. And we also have, articles and other things that are available to people, free reports. So help yourself. This is work that my colleagues and I have done. We're very proud of, and we want you all out there to enjoy, take advantage of it, that sort of thing. And people can also get hold of me at LinkedIn at Sharon Seivert. So, and it's Seivert. It's that Alsace-Lorraine thing, that German-French thing. They had wars all the time going back and forth. And so it was Seivert, which is German, and then it was Seivert, which is French, and Seivert, and then Seivert. So depending on who won that particular battle. So that's the derivation of that name, and that's how to spell it.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been a delight, and you have so much good information and it sounds like a lot of freebies as well as coaching opportunities that you'd be able to help people out. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So take good care of yourself, because when you do that, we can't have you burning out because too many lives depend on it.
It's very true.
Your own and others around you.
Well, thank you.
Take care. Yes.
And mompreneurs, I hope that you listened and took some golden nuggets from it, as you always do, because learning to make sure that you can, I love the analogy of your quilt and how you weave together both your mom and your business. And it's okay. And you bring your children in, and it's okay to be involved and be present. So go out and make it a great day. And if you like what you've heard, then please share and subscribe. Have a fantastic day. See you later. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Sharon Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Sharon Walker.